GOP won't officially take control of the House until the new year, but top Republican officials are already preparing to duke it out for chairmanship of the influential Financial Services Committee. Joining us now, California Congressman and Financial Services Committee member Ed Royce. Congressman, how does it look at this point as far as whether you actually be able to get the chairmanship away from or from Mr. Baucus, who obviously looks like he's probably going to get it?
Well, I wouldn't say that. The decision is made by the members of the steering committee, and I've had an opportunity to talk to those members, and at this point they've been very encouraging to me. So well, I think it looks pretty good.
People say you'll get it in 2 years anyway, and that's what you're doing now.
No, I'm interested in with all the challenges we have before us. This is about the need for leadership right now, strong leadership with respect to our capital markets and our economy. And my concern is that if we don't have that strong leadership, based upon my experiences in the past, where I've argued for certain positions, which I think were very important in terms of tackling moral hazard, in terms of trying to head off the crisis in housing with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. I think that leadership is necessary.
Well, we hate to see the infighting. You think that you could have done something differently for Fannie and Freddie and FinReg if you had been there instead of Congressman Baucus?
Well, I think going back to 2004, I had the legislation to deleverage Fannie and Freddie, basically to allow them to be regulated for systemic risk. It was supported by the Fed. It was also supported by the Senate Republicans. I carried that legislation, had it on the House floor. And let me tell you in retrospect that had it passed, it's the opinion of the Fed that this could have allowed them to deleverage those portfolios and to avoid the situation where you had $1.7 trillion in subprime and Alt-A loans that had to be purchased by the Fed between 2004 and 2007. These purchases, frankly, had created a systemic risk to the financial system in the view of the regulators, and Congress blocked the Fed from proper regulation. I led the effort in order to try to ensure that we gave the Fed the tools, gave the regulators those tools, and I see similar problems coming up today with respect to too big to fail and some of the other things we've done that need to be addressed. So no, I'm absolutely certain that I have the right ideas to put out there, but it would help enormously to be chairman of that committee in terms of driving those ideas.
Congressman Baucus is, or chairman, to be chairman perhaps, or maybe not. He's on the show a lot, and he is a soft-spoken but thoughtful man. There are some that say that with the quick and acerbic Barney Frank, that you can go toe-to-toe with him maybe better.
I enjoy debating ideas. I enjoy the discussions with Barney. When he's wrong, I don't mind pointing it out, and I don't mind pointing out his culpability or his mistakes. Yeah. And so, yes, I think that it's very necessary not only that we argue these issues, but also that we build a case for the American public and for investors so that they better understand some of the risks we take in Washington when we have government intervention in the market in the way we did with Fannie and Freddie.
And we know the devil's going to be in the details on FinReg in terms of the rules that are written and the regulations that are written.
That's right.
And you would think that if your colleagues really thought that you could be more effective in getting something more to the GOP's liking in terms of those regulations, then you should be able to do it. Why wouldn't you at this point? Loyalty or?
Oh, I think I will be able to do it. As I say, the steering committee members that I've talked to have been very encouraging to me. And let me share with you that I offered up amendments to handle several of these problems. One of the ones that I think is most important that we revisit, and of course the Democrats had the votes to prevent this, but the prudential regulators, the regulators for safety and soundness, warned us, do not set up a Consumer Financial Protection Bureau which is able to trump safety and soundness. The safety and soundness regulator needs to have a say, needs to have final say in this. My amendment during the markup on the Dodd-Frank bill would have given the prudential regulator that say in the process so that we didn't repeat some of the mistakes that we made with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. We have to revisit that issue. We also have to readdress this too big to fail because frankly the costs of capital are going to be much lower for the systemically significant firms, the way this has been written, those that are going to go through the resolution process as opposed to the bankruptcy process will have a 100 basis point advantage in terms of their borrowing costs. So they're going to grow, they're going to over leverage, and the too small to save competitors are going to suffer as a result. This needs to be addressed, and this is why I want to chair that committee. Having, I think, been proved right in the past on so many of these issues, I'd like to have the gavel in order to try to address these issues now rather than wait for them to loom large on the horizon again, as happened with the GSEs.
Congressman, this is Robert Brusca.
Yes.
It seems to me that one of the big issues is going to be not Fannie and Freddie. We know that there's a problem there that has to be attended, but it has to be about regulating the financial institutions themselves. And one of the things I'm a little concerned about is I'm looking at the political contributions both to Congressman Baucus and yourself, and the same amount of money from the same industries, financial industry, seems to go to both of you. And how can you assure us that you're going to be more independent than he would with so much of your financial resources coming from the industries that you have to regulate?
Well, I think I've always been independent in terms of my judgment, and you'll notice that if you look at my record or my debates, my arguments. My focus is on the moral hazard problem, and if you don't think that that isn't a major ongoing concern, or should be, for the members on the committee, think for a minute about the size of the federal backstop today. Think for a minute about the crony capitalism that we've seen go on. I've been on the other side of that debate, and that's why I'm getting encouragement not just from steering committee members, but from economists that I know and others who really want me to lay out and continue to lay out these arguments in a very principled way. I think I've been very thoughtful and careful in the way that I've approached this over the years, but again, I've been consistent in terms of my concerns about where government intervention and political pull is going to take us. And sure enough, that's exactly what's happened. So I am resistant to that.
We appreciate it, and
Yes.
We'll see we'll be interested watching what happens. I mean, you're both friends of the show now, so
Well, thank you.
we don't have a whole pony in this race. Whoever it is, we want on. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you.